And welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. You are listening and watching Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and globally. Hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. There's so much news today. Boy, it's really a rich news day. All kinds of stories, varied in their themes, and we'll try to get to the ones that, I can't get to all of it, but I'll try to report on some of these cases. Stories are so odd. We take a lot for granted. And yes, we have in our own, just focusing on the U.S., we certainly have our health issues here in this country and concerns. But we wake up each day and there are things that we don't worry a lot about. Tuberculosis, leprosy. Leprosy? Yeah. There's a story trending in the New York Times today about leprosy, and that in India there's a renewed interest in trying to get this under control. Leprosy. I'm going to report on it. Of all things, I was telling Gary, Mother Teresa worked with patients who suffered from leprosy. She cleaned them, she touched them. I mean, a remarkable woman. And then there's some other stories that are trending that are just strange, just odd. But the usual fare is around. We have some recalls going on. Oh, and by the way, we don't wake up every day worrying about Ebola. That's there in the Congo. That is a big deal. I mean, you think about these things, right? I mean, we don't think about them because they're not part of our life, but these are issues in the lives of millions of other people. Leprosy, Ebola virus, tuberculosis. But we'll get to it. There are a couple of recalls, tuna and chocolate chip cookies, or Chips Ahoy, have been recalled. I'll tell you about that. There's a nurse by the name of Virginia S. Frederick. She was 100 years old. She passed away. A nurse of some note, apparently. So we have, and Deborah Norville, I'm sure many of you know who she is, got recovered from cancer surgery. There's a brief story about that. She was around for a while. I remember, boy, they had great hopes for her at CBS. I don't recall, did she start at CBS? I don't remember. I don't think so. Was it ABC? I don't recall. And then somehow she just didn't work out again. I don't know what happened. She just had cancer surgery. And there's a story about hot car deaths, leaving infants in the car. So there's an assortment of different stories that are trending. One story about cancer patients using useless treatments, dying cancer patients using useless treatments. Yeah, I know about that. People, they're desperate. That kind of diagnosis is devastating. Have an oncologist look you in the eye and tell you that.
Deborah Norville joined NBC News in January of '87.
NBC. 1987. Wow, that was a while back. I forget, she was caught up in something. They had great hopes for her. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
You do remember. And there's a story about the amount of plastic in the ocean is a lot worse than we thought. Nobody wants to recycle. I recycle at home. They give us separate garbage cans, one for trash and one for the recycling. I do. We all have to pitch in. So we'll try to get to these stories and other things that are floating around in the ether. We have a guest today as well.
We have Steve Augustine from Kyolic.
Good.
And he's going to talk about aged garlic extract.
That product is amazing. That was a story that was trending yesterday. We never got to it. We'll get Steve to talk about it.
Yeah, with mental health stability in garlic.
Okay. I could use a little of that. Here's how to contact the show.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us, and share us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on the Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition, where we have over 65,000 views and 1,100 videos that are up.
Oh, and lest I forget, remember my prediction yesterday? I said, you're going to see video of somebody in handcuffs who refuses to follow the, what can I put this? Local government or state government issued directive to get vaccinated against measles. New York County, let's start with that. New York County announces new ban to fight measles outbreak. Now, we had a caller yesterday, and he made a good point, and it's a point that people bring up all the time. They do not like the government telling them what they can do and not do. People don't like it. But as it turns out, the federal government and the government, state and local, has a responsibility to protect the safety of the population of people. And what if you, next door to you, you had somebody, the family was infected with measles? How would you feel comfortable? Probably wouldn't. Probably wouldn't. In recent weeks, measles has spread from 15 to 20 states. I told you, this virus is, everybody says, oh, it's just the measles. And all kinds of myths surround and swirl around it. Oh, people don't die from it. Oh, yes, they do. And oh, yes, they did before the vaccine. Children. And it's so contagious and virulent. From 15 to 20 states, it's spreading. The number of cases has jumped to more than 555 across the country. The worst outbreak areas include Rockland County, New York. Public health officials are taking extreme measures there. I'm telling you, you mark my words, you'll see. On Tuesday, Rockland County officials announced that they want to ban infected people with measles from public places for up to 21 days. Think about that for a second. This is the United States of America. And we're talking about banning people from public places who are infected with measles. How the devil do you know in the first place that somebody's infected? Quote, failure to comply will result in $2,000 per violation per day. Close quote, said Rockland County Commissioner of Health, Dr. Patricia Shanabel Rupert. They're going $2,000 a day per violation. While Rockland County's officials said they aren't going to go around arresting people, not yet, with measles, they insist it's about keeping the public safe. I'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. It's
Further about this ban in Rockland County. The reason why the county officials, government officials, have put a ban on people who are infected with measles being in public places, and if they violate the ban, they're going to get fined $2,000 per violation per day. The ban comes 3 weeks after the unsuccessful effort to prevent unvaccinated children from public places. The county issued a warning and an ordinance. It wasn't an ordinance, but it was a warning. And people didn't heed it. And so now there have been 33 new cases, and they said, you're banned. Quote, this is from the Rockland County Executive, Ed Day is his name. He's having a bad day up there. Quote, we've had 5 cases go into intensive care units, including 1 infant. Need we wait for someone to die? Close quote. Rockland County, if you don't know, has been really the epicenter of this measles outbreak. I think they even found patient 0. And there have been 186 confirmed cases there since October 2018. And the health officials say the outbreak is centered around the Orthodox Jewish community. Quote, measles is a huge public health issue because it's so contagious. What have I been saying? Said Dr. Alana Levine. New York measles outbreak has now spread in other states. I've reported on that. Mm-hmm. Dr. Levine said, my colleagues across the country are all worried that measles are going to hit their community. So as a country, we need to make sure that everybody gets vaccinated. Close quote. I thought I put the spotlight on this, and I feel sort of vindicated. I talked about this 6 months ago. I started reporting on it. And not very many were talking about it, and I don't know why. Because it was under the radar, that this idea, this myth, it's just the measles. Nothing to see here. It's a nothing burger. Keep moving on, whatever, mixing my metaphors. Yeah, well, now we got a full-blown debate. And people, I just know this, and you know it too, people do not like the government, whether it's local, state, or federal, telling them what to do. And forcing them to get vaccinated, it really raises their ire. Now, that's my observation. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that's what I see, and that's what I know. And so do you. People don't like it. But on the other hand, when public safety is at issue here, what are officials supposed to do? What would you do if you were responsible for your community or your state as a health official or government, affiliated with some government agency that's designed to protect the general public and its welfare and its health? This is really good. You watch. The thing hasn't even, if they don't find a way to get this contained and this continues to spread, you're going to have not only a health issue, but you're going to have a public health issue, but you're going to have a huge debate. And you're going to see people are going to demonstrate, and they're going to be back and forth with each other. It's amazing. This is the measles. This is the 21st century.
But it goes back like to the Ebola. Every time every time somebody gets Ebola in the United States, they rush right to the CDC. They quarantine them. They try to treat them.
Well, I report on the Ebola stories. Gary one day looked at me, and I could read his eyes. Gary, I'm going to report on this. It was in Africa. It was about Ebola. They were concerned. And I could see in his eyes, he said, why does he want to report on that? Well, and there's a story trending today about Ebola.
With the vaccine. They got an experimental vaccine, but it's only 97.5% effective. But it's a vaccine. So why would you not want to,
If you had somebody next door to you that was infected with the Ebola virus, how would you feel about that? Would you say, okay, nothing, no need to get anybody vaccinated, no need to do anything about that? You would have a different point of view, right? For some reason, measles, no big deal. Well, it is a big deal, and Ebola is even worse. But we don't have Ebola virus here. Thank God. 877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. You know, this clash between the citizenry about the federal government or state government stepping in and forcing regulations upon people, banning people. I mean, I was telling Gary, both he and I am even too young to remember this. There were houses of pestilence in this country. People were forcibly quarantined. And you can go online and go on Wikipedia. You'll find another source if you don't like Wikipedia. Read about they called them pest houses. Some of those places, they were on university campuses. They still have some of the buildings. They're what do you call it when
they're I know a campus up in Indiana that has one, and it's funny that you say that.
Exactly.
And they have a museum in it. They have a
Yes.
medical museum in it.
Yeah.
That's what they turned it into.
You'll see black and white photos. They were called houses of pestilence. This is sort of getting at that. Next thing you know, they're going to force them to go to some facility. If you don't, they're going to physically force them.
But it's not like mental health disease. This is an actual disease that can kill you.
It can.
It's not like they're putting them in a state-run hospital.
I get it. I understand.
Don't be stressed out or anxious.
Let's Talk Nutrition. I hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be watching the show and whatever you may be doing. I'm just going to follow up a little history lesson here. People think I make sometimes these things up. I don't make it. I don't have to. You don't have to make it up. There was a time in the early part of the 20th century, late 19th century, they had places called pest houses. It had various names. It was called a pest house, a plague house, a fever shed, a house of pestilence. They were buildings constructed by sometimes on a volunteer basis in the community. And there were some places like in Michigan where in almost every county they had a pest house. They were used for people afflicted with communicable diseases. You know, tuberculosis, cholera, smallpox, and typhus, for example. Often they were used for forcible, notice my language, forcible quarantine. You didn't have a choice, man. You were escorted to the pest house until you were well. Many towns and other cities had one or more pest houses accompanied by, are you ready? A cemetery, because people would die left and right, or what they called a waste pond. For what? Disposable of the bodies. I'm not making it up. I am not making it up. And so now here we are in the 21st century, and we have an infectious disease, a virus, that was virtually knocked out in 2000. It was officially declared gone. They should always be careful about doing that in the first place. These are viruses, after all. That's when they declared measles was eradicated. Now we have a mess. We got 20 states now. This virus has spread like wildfire. And now in Rockland County, New York, they are forced, it's a forced ban. They're banning people from public places who have the measles, who are infected. And I told Gary, I said, I find it interesting that the county official said, we're not going to go around arresting anybody. So that tells me, reading between the lines, maybe that was on their mind. Do we have, and they're fining people $2,000 a violation per day. Now, this is going to get people upset because they don't like government doing these kinds of things. But on the other hand, you got people getting very sick and being infected with this virus. What are you supposed to do? And that, back in the day, there was no discussion. They just came and got you. And you went to this place, a pest house, and it was not only in the United States, it was in Canada, in other countries. Yeah. The Netherlands, for example. You should read the history. It's quite fascinating. It was, back then it was, they weren't as sensitive to people's civil rights and rights my foot, or pick any other piece of anatomy you want to say. They didn't care, man. You were forcibly taken. Forcibly.
When I was a kid growing up in Evansville, Indiana, there was the poorhouse was the first house when you came across the bridge from Henderson, Kentucky, that you saw. And my mom all the time would threaten me if she was going to take me to the poorhouse. Well, the poorhouse was also the pest house. There was also a little, like you said, a little graveyard cemetery there. So
you saw this with your own eyes.
Yeah, and this was I was born in 74, so yeah, 79.
Right. Well, at the beginning, at the turn of the 20th century, I mean, this was in full bloom. At the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century, this is how they handled it then. If you think your sensibilities are insulted now, what do you make of that? You were forcible quarantine, forcible. And in essence, a ban is sort of like a forcible quarantine. You're quarantining people away from public places. We'll see where this goes. Give us a call.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
I would be intrigued to know what your point of view is about this. This is not going away anytime soon. This story is going to be around a while.
I would like to see if anybody had any stories about them growing up and something like this happening. I bet there are. I bet there's people that like that.
I bet we have folks listening and watching this show that recall back in the day that, your civil rights be damned. They didn't care.
They just take you.
They just take you, man. It was forcible. Most people and the community would volunteer and they would build these places. Like I said, in Michigan, almost every county had a pest house. That's how prevalent they were. That was the standard. You can't make it up. These things just in some way there is the irony and Anyway, shifting gears. If you like frozen tuna and if you like Chips Ahoy cookie and if you eat them together, why you would do that, I have no clue. You're in for a drought. New York County, New York is in the news. New York County announces new ban to fight. No, that's that. We did that. Just kidding. Just messing with you. The frozen tuna recall. It's of course the threat is the salmonella. 13 people in 7 states have been sickened with salmonella. This is since January. The CDC reports. See, these things go on, and it doesn't make the news until finally it gets out of hand, I guess. They believe the source of the the contaminated food is Jensen Tuna Inc. Frozen raw ground tuna. That doesn't even sound appealing to me at all. The company had issued a recall for 3 lots of individually packaged 1-pound bags. I would no, man. And 20-pound boxes. Jensen Tuna distributed product to all states where ill people reported, but recalled product might have been redistributed to additional states, the CDC said. The states where illnesses have been reported are Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, North Dakota, New York, and Washington. 2 people in this outbreak have been hospitalized due to their illness. Again, nothing to mess with. And then we have Chips Ahoy cookies recalled due to an I like the way they put this, unexpected ingredient. Oh, the language. We'll come back. I'll tell you what it is. As I was reporting, there's a recall on Chips, Chewy Chips Ahoy. These cookies are sold everywhere. You get them at Walmart and other retailers around the country. They contain, and I like their language here, quote, unexpected solidified ingredient, close quote. God knows what that is. Nabisco parent Mondelez Global, giant company, issued the recall yesterday, receiving reports of, quote, potential adverse health effects. You know, people gagging, choking, or having dental injury from eating the cookies. Yeah. So there's a course that I'll be taking on food safety, part of the training. And I'm excited to get into that. We'll see. I'll even have more to say about food safety. And it is most of the time you don't hear much about it. But I'm telling you, it is a big concern. I am not sure or persuaded that the government has enough people working to ensure that food safety is up to par. I don't think they have enough inspectors. And you hear me report on this all the time. It's like a waterfall. It never stops. Every single day. And you just wonder, and I guess it's not a sexy story to report. And the mainstream media, you're not hearing about this unless hundreds of people get sick and somebody dies, then they'll report on it. But, if you have a dozen or more people get sick well, you know what? It's still a big deal. And I'm going to continue to report on it. I feel I have an obligation to do that. You should know what's going on with food safety. Gary, at the top of the second hour, Gary asked me a question about tell me what you said that you found an item last night. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm on a keto, so I'm trying to keep my carbs low.
Okay.
And one of the things I found last night was whole wheat, low carb burrito rolls, or Vegeta rolls, or however you want to say them.
All right. So, and you were excited about that.
Yes.
And I said to you, whole wheat is not whole grain.
And you crashed my plane.
And there's a difference. And at the top of the hour, I'll explain you what the difference is. This is a very common misconception, and people get confused. They buy whole wheat thinking that, this is whole grain. No. If it doesn't say whole grain, and then you'll notice on the packaging, it'll say 50% whole grain, 90% whole grain. In other words, the ingredients in the box or the packaging, whatever item it is not 100% whole grain. Often now they will say 100% whole grain. And sometimes it's not 100%. So I'll tell you what constitutes a whole grain and why whole grain is different from whole wheat at the top of the next hour. 877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. There's a story, it's a terrible story. Hot car deaths are hit a record high in 2018. Here in Florida, that's a big issue because the heat here is horrible. Experts say 51 children died in hot cars in the United States in 2018. That, according to officials, is the highest record toll on record. Children dying in a car. The previous single year high was 49 deaths. That was back in 2010. This is according to the National Safety Council. This is your federal government at work. We have summer coming. They have a course. It's called Children in Hot Cars. I don't know how you get to that course. I don't know if it's online, if it's a government-sponsored course, Gary. Children in hot cars. Quote, I'm quoting now Nick Smith. He's the National Safety Council interim president and CEO. It's a private organization, I guess. Last year, we set one of the saddest records in U.S. road safety history. We believe this new training will go a long way toward educating people with pediatric vehicular heat stroke and empowering them with tips to go. Now, this is not only children, but sometimes people, for some reason, in a car. Have you ever heard of someone leaving an elderly person in a car?
Yes. Yeah.
As a police officer?
Yes. They didn't do it on purpose. What happened was they got out of the car and they had those auto locks.
Yes.
They locked them in.
Oh. Person died?
No, but they did get rushed to the hospital. They were heat exhaustion bad.
So here in Florida, during this summer, I'm going to try to remember to remind people to be careful. People forget, or they don't even know the child is in the car. We hear this all the time, and then of course some people do it intentionally. That I don't even know what to say about that. I don't get it, but it's an issue. When does summer officially start? Anybody know? It's already hot here in Florida. We're up in the 80s already. June the 1st. Okay, we got a way to go, but it's already hot here. There's a story trending today, too, about cancer patients, and many of the cancer patients who have been diagnosed as terminal are engaged in useless treatments. This new research indicates that when given just 1 month to live, a significant number of patients still opt for aggressive and often costly interventions, despite little evidence that it's going to help them. Well, you know what? Until you're in that situation, you don't know. And it may be, judgmental to say, well, they shouldn't do that. Well, it's not your call. That's not your call. I think people, if that's what somebody wants to do, they have the right to do it. That's my view. It's my story. I'm going to stick to that one. You are listening and watching Let's Talk Nutrition. We come back. Steve Augustine, he hasn't been around a while. I guess maybe that witness protection program isn't working out for him. I don't know what's the matter with that boy. He hasn't been here for a while. We're anxious to see him and talk to him. LTN, Coast to Coast and globally. We'll be back. And welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for tuning in today. My guest in this portion of the show will be Steve Augustine, live in person. And he hasn't been on for a while. And so we'll get to him and chat with him. He's with Wakunaga of America, and they are the makers of Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract. That's one of the best dietary supplement products on the market, hands down, 100% full stop. No, there's no doubt in my mind about it. None. For a variety of reasons. And Steve will have him tell you why. Yeah. And Gary's here, and Stephen is here, as always. And you're there, and that's always a good thing. And if you want to participate in the show, we love it when you do. It's easy to do. Encourage you to, when I report, for example, that story on the banning people in Rockland County from public places who have been infected with measles, that's a very controversial story. I've been on this for months, and now the mainstream media has finally caught up, and they're reporting on it. Only because there's a lot of controversy swirling around it, and people are getting sick, being infected with the measles. You can bet your bottom dollar if it were some horrendous infectious disease horrendous in quotes, this would have never gotten to this point. But because of the myth that measles is somehow minor, no. Measles is a major, that virus is horrible, highly contagious, crafty as can all get out. You can be in the same room with somebody and get infected. Nasty. So we always invite you to comment, and this is a safe zone. You can comment without being eviscerated. I'm pretty open-minded. I listen to people's arguments, and I listen to what they have to say. Always have done that. Continue to do the same.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Don't forget, you can reach out to Dr. Garko at drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Follow us and like us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to that YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition on YouTube.
I didn't get to this story, and I'm not going to have time today. I don't think to really delve into it, but it did catch my eye. In India, leprosy apparently is alive and well, and the Indian government is trying to. The headline on the story was something like a renewed effort to try and bring this dreadful, dreadful disease. I mean, the photographs of people, it's just heartbreaking. They're trying to do their best. And I just started to do a little bit of research into leprosy and to see what's going on worldwide. And we wake up in America, and there are a lot of things we don't worry about. And that's one of them. But in other parts of the world, people wake up every day with concerns that are quite formidable. Ebola, leprosy, tuberculosis, cholera, typhus, right? Yeah. We're very fortunate. And I know we can be critical of our own system, and there's always room for improvement. But there's a lot of things we don't have to worry about because health officials and modern medicine and whatnot have made it safe for us. So I just wanted to bring that to our attention. And I know we're always after, this and that. And I'm not in the business of wanting to deconstruct everything, that's not helpful. Where there's room for improvement, then I think we should talk about that. But we've made a lot of progress in this country. We have a lot more. There's still room for improvement. We could do better with life expectancy. We're still down in the 40, sometimes 40, 50, somewhere in that range in the world, 40th, 50th We should be at the top. People living the longest. We're not. Why is that? We spend more money per capita on medical care than in any other country in the world. We should be the healthiest people on the planet. We're not. And for all the reasons that we talk about on the show. So I'm just saying, there are parts of the world where it is pretty horrible, waking up every day. And many of these poor people, they're aware, but there's nothing they can do about it. As I said, Steve Augustine is my guest. Steve works for a company that's an international dietary supplement company, Wakunaga of America, and just a great company. That Kyolic aged garlic extract, study after study all the time, and they're still on it, still doing clinical trials with the product. It's quite remarkable. Steve, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Long time no see. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back on. I hope everybody is well over in Tampa.
We're doing all right. Where are you?
Orlando today.
What's going on in Orlando? Everybody we talked to the past week, 10 days, I'm going to Orlando. Is there some giveaway down there? What's going on?
I don't know. This time of year, I think people in Florida, as you know, realize there's not much good weather left before it gets too hot, and they run to the amusement parks to try and get those in before it's 86% humidity and feels like 105.
You live in the Orlando area?
Yeah, just outside of Universal Studios in Metro West.
Oh, do you really?
Uh-huh.
What's it like living over there? Is the traffic horrible?
Congested. Yeah, it used to be really nice here, I won't lie, but the traffic is terrible now.
Is it really?
Yeah. Tampa's not much better, Dr. Garko.
Don't I know? Don't I know? I got to deal with this crap every day. Oh, my God, you got to be medicated to drive around
Every
here.
road is under construction over there.
Yeah, the construction is under construction. Maybe we're going to get smart and put some rail system in here,
You better hope you don't get the toll road project that we have, the I-4 Ultimate project. It's been pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Any breaking news from Wakunaga of America?
It was interesting. I had our director of Germany fly in from California after the Anaheim show, and he's going to be running the German division for us, which is just about to open up. As you know, we're in like 52 different countries, so that'll be like 53. And we had an interesting conversation. We have 2 new studies that were published. One is on gingivitis, and a secondary study on blood pressure from Dr. Reed. And I didn't think the gingivitis study would get much interest from my customers, but it kind of did. And if we have enough time, I'll go over that real quick for you.
Well, let's talk. How is Dr. Reed, by the way?
She's doing very well. They're very excited. They have that symposium coming up in Hiroshima, Japan, that unfortunately I did not get invited to.
I didn't get invited either. I'm persona non grata, I guess.
We're in the same boat.
I'm the media. Maybe they didn't want me there.
No, I think they definitely want the media there, but I don't know.
Okay, we'll find out. I'm sure. Is Jay Levy going? Of course he's going.
No, Jay's not going either. They're only sending the president and the vice president.
Oh,
I
okay.
think each division.
I see. Gingivitis. This is a common type of periodontal disease. I'm sure more than a few people listening and watching the show know what it's about, but who would have thought?
Yeah, garlic and gingivitis, right?
In the same sentence. And then you have a new study Dr. Reed did. I interviewed Dr. Reed on high blood pressure. This is a nemesis in this country. We'll talk about that. See, like I told you, when I say any breaking news, I usually 9 out of 10 times will get something out of Steve, something new. We'll be back. Rich. Steve Augustine is the guest today. Steve is with Wakunaga of America, and I'm just, I'm a fan. That their product of the Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, the best among the best of the best in that category, hands down, full stop. There's no debate here, none, as far as I'm concerned. That's just me, but Steve, welcome back. Okay, now I haven't talked about it too much on the show, but gingivitis. I asked Steve if there were any breaking news, and a new study connecting gingivitis and Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract. But gingivitis, you hear that last part of the word, itis, the suffix, that indicates inflammation. And it's a inflammation of the gingivae, causing bleeding with swelling, redness, exudate. It's a change of the what would be considered the normal contours, and it can be very uncomfortable. Diagnosis is simply based on inspection, and treatment involves professional teeth cleaning, intensified dental hygiene, and then in some cases you're going to need antibiotics because there's severe infection. So, how did I would have, if you would have said to me, Steve, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract and gingivitis in the same sentence, I would say, what are you talking about? What's going on here?
Well, this study, we're in 52 different countries. So this study was done in Israel. It was Dr. Zini, Z-I-N-I. It was published in the Journal of Clinical Dentistry, number 29, in 2018. And he did a 4-month study with 4 capsules a day of Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, the reserve formula in particular. He did 134 people finish the actual study. All had mild to moderate gingivitis. And at the end of the study was done at Hebrew University in Israel. Mm-hmm. And the final result of the study was that he noticed significant reduction in gingivital inflammation and bleeding. And I think what they're trying to get at is that most people kind of understand that oral health and oral hygiene is now being linked to cardiovascular health.
Absolutely.
And that improving oral health and oral hygiene by taking aged garlic extract would actually be beneficial, to cardiovascular health. As you know, that's one of the main focuses of aged garlic extract is blood pressure and cardiovascular health. So this kind of plays into that in an indirect kind of way.
Yeah, almost all cases of gingivitis, almost all, are plaque-induced, and the poor oral hygiene, can't talk today, will cause the plaque to accumulate between the gingiva and the teeth, showing a schematic here of it up on the screen. You see the gingival crevice, the gum line. You can see where it is. And then you have the gingivital sulcus. You see where that's the space between the tooth and gum. You have the outer crown, the enamel, and then you have the bone. You see all the blood. That's a nice little schematic, but that's where the gingiva, that's the gum flap, the gum. So that's what gets infected and is affected. And it can be, what will happen is the gingivitis occurs. It does not occur in places where teeth are missing, which is ironic. The irritation due to the plaque deepens the normal crevice, the sulcus, between the tooth and the gingiva. That creates these what they call gingival pockets. And the pockets contain bacteria that cause the gingivitis and the root and the tooth decay.
Yeah, I think it also contaminates the blood, and that's what they worry about as far as cardiovascular health.
Yeah, it's an infection. It's infection.
Right to your heart.
Yeah, it's an infection and gets into the bloodstream and then affects your heart. We've known this for a long time. There was some trending news regarding Kyolic. Gary knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, they posted the other day about garlic extract helping with memory.
You know anything about that?
That's probably one of the offshoots of the Dr. Reed study. She did 4 different arms of it, and one of them did look at cognition. But we've known for a long time that, aged garlic extract, because it helps your body deal with stress, can actually help improve your memory because it helps you to control stress a little better.
877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. Gingivitis is not periodontitis, or periodontitis, which is a chronic inflammatory disease as well of the gums also, and it's an opportunistic infection of the indigenous plaque biofilm. So all these infections that occur in the mouth are bad news. As Steve points out, that infection can get transported into the bloodstream, travels around the body, and especially affects the cardiovascular system. We come back, we'll talk some more with Steve, not only about gingivitis, but high blood pressure. Dr. Reed, is she in Australia?
Yeah, she's in Victoria, Australia.
I remember. We'll see what that study's all about. So your mouth and your heart, what did they have to do with one another? The answer is a lot. 877-897-8255. Of course, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract is sold in fine health stores. In how many countries?
52. Working on 53.
Working on 53. You now have a German division.
Yes, we do. Pretty soon. It's almost open.
Unbelievable. Oh, my goodness. So you can go anywhere. If you forget to take your Kyolic with you on a trip somewhere in Europe or somewhere on the planet, no worries. They probably have it there. High blood pressure has earned the reputation of being a silent killer, and for good reason. High blood pressure being silent refers to people being unaware of suffering from it because there are often no warning signs in the early stages of its development to alert them, and consequently, they go undiagnosed. High blood pressure being a killer refers to the 32,200 deaths annually in the United States attributed to it. My guest is Stephen and Augustine from, he's not from Augustine, Florida, although that would be kind of cool. And he's an educator for Wampanoag of America, makers of Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract. Stephen, welcome back. So, Doctor, is her first name Karen?
Yeah, Dr. Karen Reed.
You know what? I'm even impressed with that memory. I didn't remember. I don't know where I pulled that from. Honestly, she's
She's a good scientist. She's done some good work.
Oh, absolutely. I remember interviewing her. She was very good. I like her a lot. What did she do in this study? Was it done in Australia?
Yeah, this one was also done at the National Institute of Integrative Medicine in Victoria, Australia, and it was published December 11th, 2018 in Frontiers in Nutrition. And this particular study looked at gut health and blood pressure and tried to kind of look at if there's a correlation between high blood pressure and poor gut health, and could you take aged garlic extract, lower your blood pressure, and improve your gut flora at the same time. So she had like 49 people with high blood pressure involved in the study. It was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trial for 12 weeks, 1,200 milligrams of aged garlic extract. And as is standard with Kyolic studies, the people in the study got a 10-point drop in their systolic and diastolic blood pressure.
Wow.
You can take aged garlic extract with blood pressure medication. There's no contraindication. But she also noticed that lactobacillus levels in the aged garlic extract were positively impacted by the sulfur compounds found in Kyolic.
Amazing. 877-897-8255 will put you in touch with Stephen. Blood pressure is the amount of pressure or force of blood pushing up against the walls of your arteries created by the heart muscle contracting. And the blood pressure is measured in milliliters of mercury using two numbers expressed as a fraction. And many of you know this. The top number is the systolic pressure, measuring the pressure in the arteries when the heart contracts, and the bottom number is the diastolic blood pressure, measuring the pressure in the arteries in between contractions. This is a pretty good study. This is one in a line of research. This is not the first study to show that Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract will lower blood pressure, right?
No, the first study she did was actually a lower dose. It wasn't 1,200 milligrams, but she also got a 10-point drop in systolic and diastolic. But so, I mean, anywhere, what they found was anywhere from 2 caps to 4 caps of Kyolic per day will give you that 10-point drop in systolic and diastolic. You do have to take it for at least 12 weeks, though.
Uh-huh. Did she use the Kyolic Reserve in that?
Yes, she did.
Now, what I want to point out to the listener and the viewer of the show is that in these studies, the product that they're using is the very product that you can go into your local health store and purchase and take right off the shelf. There's no difference. Right, Stephen?
In the majority of the studies, and this particular study, that's correct. There are some different formulations in different countries that sometimes they do.
Oh, I get that. But I mean, what I'm trying to suggest here, let me just be more direct. They don't use some whiz-bang formula for the study and then give you some, cheesy version of it in the store.
No, we try and use formulations like actual formulas that are available that you can actually buy right in the health food store.
Absolutely. Was there anything else she discovered in the study?
I've got her summary here. She did notice that there was a benefit in cognitive function, and that there was a reduction in blood pressure, and she wants to look further into how vitamin B12, B6, and folate levels can in various patients can interact and affect aged garlic extract results down the road.
Hmm.
So she's, like scientists like to do that. When they have a pretty good study, they like to link it to another study that they might be able to do down the road to further the science.
Right, and they get another study. I'm familiar. I did the same thing. There's primary hypertension and secondary. Primary is also called essential hypertension, in case you want to know. It's the most common type, affects about 90% of people. It's idiopathic. What does that mean? There is no discernible cause. No discernible cause. That being said, there is widespread agreement, though, that the pathogenesis of primary hypertension is most likely multifactorial. Genetics, excess sodium intake, hyperinsulinemia, increased levels of angiotensin II, being obese, smoking, drinking, not living a healthy life. It's idiopathic. Most people think, oh, yeah, they know what the cause of not really. Then there's secondary hypertension. That's about 10% of the population. And, that's a little different story. It's less common. And so we'll just leave that a B for a while. What do you think? I know what it says on the bottle, but how much do you think needs to be taken a day?
Because the sulfur compounds from aged garlic extract stay in your bloodstream about 4 hours, we recommend 1,200 milligrams taken any way you like to, but as long as you spread it out with that understanding that every 4 hours your liver is going to filter out those sulfur compounds to be used for detoxification and other things that are necessary throughout the body. So you can do 600 milligrams at breakfast, 600 milligrams at dinner, or you could do 600 milligrams at lunch and 600 milligrams at dinner, as long as you give it 4 hours in between.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan. I like the Kyolic Reserve. Explain to the listener and the viewer what the Kyolic Reserve is.
Well, that's why most of the scientists seem to be focusing on the reserve formula lately, is because it's just the ideal formula as far as dosage and as far as, compliance for spreading it out. We take our basic aged garlic extract in liquid form and spray dry it into a powder without using any heat, and then so that maintains all the beneficial qualities of the sulfur compounds. And then it's encapsulated, and there's nothing else added to it. So if you're already taking a bunch of other vitamins, you don't have to worry about maybe getting a double dose of a certain type of vitamin that you're trying to keep an eye on. You're just getting the aged garlic extract in the right amount to be therapeutic, and if you take it, at least 4 to 6 hours apart, you're going to get that long duration of the benefits from the various sulfur compounds found in Kyolic.
We come back, we'll have the LTN Health question of the day. You could win a $25 supplement gift card with the right answer.
Want to get
And here's the LTN health question of the day. Talking with Stephen Augustine from Wakunaga of America about high blood pressure today and how Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract can participate in helping you to address that condition. Here's the question. What percent of first-time heart attack victims are diagnosed with high blood pressure? What percent of first-time heart attack victims are diagnosed with high blood pressure? 3 out of 10, 5 out of 10, or 7 out of 10? 30%, 50%, or 70%? What percent of first-time heart attack victims are diagnosed with high blood pressure? 3 out of 10, 5 out of 10, or 7 out of 10? Here's a number to call to win the $25 supplement gift card.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
30% of U.S. adults suffer from high blood pressure. It is, and as we age, Stephen, high blood pressure increases. 65 to 67% of people 60 years of age or older suffer from high blood pressure. So, as we age, it becomes more and more concern. Why? Because we've had a longer time to build up plaquing in the arteries. The arteries get a little stiffer, and so on and so on. You get the point. So, I'm a fan, no doubt. But it also, there have been studies to show that it helps a little with cholesterol, the lipids, yes?
Yeah, there was a study done quite a long time ago at Loma Linda University, Dr. Lau. I think they got anywhere from a 10 to 17% reduction in cholesterol over time, but that takes about 3 months. That takes a long time to lower your cholesterol, 10 to 17%. But if you're willing to take aged garlic extract for 3 months, which you certainly should, you will also get the cholesterol benefit.
Absolutely. So from a cardiovascular standpoint, this product is remarkable, and what do we attribute these medicinal potentials or properties to? Is it the sulfur compounds?
Well, the scientists have never really been able to isolate any one particular compound. They know, and we standardize aged garlic extract with S-acetylcysteine and S-acetylmercaptocystine, which are directly increased during the aging process. As you know, we organically harvest it, put it in stainless steel tanks, and age it for 12 to 20 months. And those compounds, like S-acetylcysteine and S-acetylmercaptocystine, increase during the aging process. But there's also Maillard reaction compounds that are created during the aging process. And these compounds are not found in your garlic bulb when you get it right out of the earth. It takes the aging process to create therapeutic levels of the compounds. So you can't eat enough raw garlic to get the benefit you get from Kyolic.
That's remarkable. A very rare occasion, as you often hear me say, Stephen, where the science contributes to nature and makes nature better in terms of the food. This is great. So is it organic or no?
Yeah, we organically grow it at Coalinga, I believe it's pronounced that way, California, outside of Fresno at Harris Ranch.
Mm-hmm. Does it say organic on the bottle?
Some of the bottles do say organic. Now, there are some formulations that do not contain organic ingredients, so they would not have that on there.
How many formulations are there?
Right now we have 25 different aged garlic extract formulas.
Some designed associated with cholesterol.
They're each lifestyle choices. If you go into the health food store, most of the stores, like the blood pressure formula, has nattokinase and suntheanine in it, which are ingredients that also help improve blood pressure and help you to relax. The immune formula has vitamin C, olive leaf, oregano, and Japanese immune-boosting mushrooms in it, which help boost your immune system. So they're all, geared towards lifestyle choices.
And I happen to have, you also have a Kyolic vitamin D3 immune support product.
No, that's actually unfortunately been discontinued.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's, we try different formulas, and sometimes they work out, and people really like them, and sometimes they just don't hit the mark.
I thought
we're like any other company. We're constantly trying to try new things and give people convenience.
Absolutely. Let me give you a hint about the answer to today's health question. The question is, how many first-time heart attack victims are diagnosed with high blood pressure? I can tell you that 8 out of 10 first-time stroke victims have high blood pressure. There's a hint. So how many, what percent or how many first-time heart attack victims have high blood pressure? I'll give you two choices. 2 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. Keeping in mind that 8 out of 10 first-time stroke victims have high blood pressure. So there's a hint. 877-897-8255. Where are you working today? What are you doing?
Right now I'm just in Orlando, so I'll probably stay local. I always try to make sure I'm at home and have a good, solid phone connection, and I'm not talking to you on a cell phone because I know that drives everybody crazy.
Well, speaking of right on time there, on cue. My phone rings. So how is Jay?
Everybody's fine. The company is doing well. We're looking forward to our new office opening in Germany, and we have the new German aged garlic extract liquid study, which is moving right along, and I hope to be able to speak to you about that at the next time I'm on your program. That is a first time we've done aged garlic extract liquid, an actual study in probably 10 years. So we're interested to see if we're able to replicate the results we were able to get in our first study with Dr. Budoff.
Oh, I want to see about that. That's pretty good. And with the liquid, they even give you little capsules that you can put the liquid in, right?
Right. Most people don't, in the United States, don't like the capsules. So they just squirt it in their juice or tomato juice.
I get it. Let's go to
put in tomato juice.
Let's go to Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Dottie, what's the answer? 2 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 first-time heart attack victims have high blood pressure?
7 out of 10.
Yeah, Harleysville. Do they make Harleys in Harleysville?
Sure.
It's not a Suzuki. Well, thank you for listening in Harleysville, PA. We appreciate that, and hope you're having a good day up there.
Okay, thank you. You too.
All right, nice voice. You sound like you're an optimistic person. Thank you, Stephen. Your health is your wealth.
Everyone's raving about the newest botanical superstar hitting the store shelves.